Monday morning, London's Victoria Underground station. This is the busiest escalator in Britain. It carries 18 million people every year. It's the only escalator down to the platforms. The trains are crush-loaded because there aren't enough of them, and the platforms are congested because they're much too small.
We are holding customers in the ticket hall because of congestion at platform level. Very shortly, you will be able to begin your journeys.
You look a bit frazzled already, I must say.
It's Monday morning, isn't it? And it's not a good start to it. I try and avoid this station if I can, but I can't today.
What's it like?
Nightmare.
Nightmare. What sort of state are you when you get to work?
Tired?
Tired.
Very tired.
It's like this every day.
You seem resigned to it.
Well, yeah, there's not much you can do, is there?
Well, you could complain.
What's the point? They've always got an excuse.
At the rush hour peak, tens of thousands of commuters swarm to the tube from the mainline station upstairs.
The problem is that we've got 4 platforms and upstairs they've got 19. And 19 into 4 doesn't go very well.
Andrew Foster, the station's 28-year-old manager, spends his time dealing with people late for work, their missed appointments, frustration and stress.
Thank you very much for waiting. Customers may begin their journeys now.
Do they ever blow their top though?
Very occasionally, very occasionally. We have had some incidents where staff have been assaulted because people have got so uptight and so upset.
Well, they've just sort of flown off the handle.
Absolutely. Verbal assault is quite common. We've had, unfortunately, incidents of spitting and very occasionally physical assault as well.
This Monday morning, passengers are going to need all the restraint they can muster. 8:30 a.m. and the first of several crises that we were to witness during our week on the tube threatens more chaos.
You've got somebody at the top of the escalator. Do you want me to do it? Yeah. Right. Okay.
Britain's busiest escalator has cut out under the tidal wave of passengers. For a few minutes, it has to be closed.
We've got to allow the escalator to clear before we can restart it. Now, this is going to cause us problems. At the moment, you can hear the alarms going off, preventing customers from coming down from the mainline station. We've got significant congestion building up in the ticket hall, and we have to get this area clear before we can restart this escalator.
At the busiest time on the busiest morning of the week, the station that should be whisking commuters away to work is now closed. You make this journey regularly?
Yeah, every day. It's fairly normal, unfortunately.
This is pretty normal.
You just don't think too much of it. You just get used to it, you detach. Here we go.
After decades of underinvestment, the London Underground is bursting at the seams. The Victoria Line is now carrying 3 times as many passengers as it was built for.
The problem is going to get worse. We're expecting an increase in the number of customers that are going to be using the system over the next 5 years. We've also got, in the autumn of this year, Gatwick Airport will be receiving all South American flights, so we'll have large numbers of customers who wouldn't normally use the station and also with luggage.
The London Underground is now a business going backwards. Under the last Chancellor Ken Clarke, it had to cut £700 million from its budget over the next 3 years. Many measures to relieve congestion have been put on hold. At Victoria, work was to have begun this year to increase the frequency of trains. Now it'll be at least another 8 years before the system is fully operational. Meanwhile, across London at the Earls Court signalling centre, staff are struggling to keep the trains going on the Piccadilly and District lines.
Yeah, I'm just going to clear the west side in a moment. Okay. Yeah.
These red lights track the progress of the trains. The system was built in the 1950s.
You can equate it to a transistor radio, but the old valve system rather than the modern transistors that we use. Yeah. And as you can see, it's just a mass of wires that illuminate a few bulbs, which in turn will illuminate the Siemens diagram at the front of the display. And any one of these bulbs can blow at any one time.
Must have seemed very high-tech in the 1950s.
It was. When it was first installed, this was very high-tech. problem comes is trying to run a modern day service with old equipment.
This museum piece does work as long as there are no delays. But of course there are.
There's a train being delayed at Parsons Green, and we just had another delay, PEA, which is someone pushed the emergency alarm, West Kensington, and that's caused another 5-minute delay. So we've probably had about a 15-minute delay, which is also building up on the Wimbledon Road, because we're not sending any trains down there at the moment.
Can the system keep track of all these delays?
It can, if we concentrate, but I mean, if it gets too bad, we'll get the station staff to check what the train numbers are, and they'll let me know what's going on.
Pen and paper is the only way they can track the trains when the automatic signalling can't cope. This only adds to the delays. Work on installing a computerised system was to have started this year, but because of Mr. Clark's budget cuts, that'll have to wait until 2004 at the earliest. London Underground operate 4,000 trains serving 267 stations. But because of chronic underinvestment since the war, a vast backlog of repairs and maintenance has built up. While Labour was in opposition, they repeatedly attacked the Conservative government for not investing enough in public transport. But now New Labour is the government, and they've promised not to spend any more taxpayers' money than the Tories did. Yet London Underground say they need around £1.5 billion from the government over the next 5 years to create a metro fit for a capital city. And just to stop the present service from getting any worse will cost £150 million right now. London Underground say the crisis is on them now. Can you at least promise that you can give them £150 million?
No, I can't.
You can't?
It's like the hospital services. We're being told they're hundreds of millions of pounds short, and they may be closing hospitals. The schools are being told that they're desperately short and the buildings are falling down. That is what we inherit, and we will have to make a judgment. I, at this stage, have not made the proper judgment of how much is needed at this stage to meet the current requirements. I am concerned particularly, though, about the long-term investments.
London Underground calls its passengers customers. By the end of Monday, thousands of customers would have liked their money back. Early Tuesday morning, before the system opens, maintenance men work deep in the tunnels to carry out essential repairs. With only a few hours to the first train of the day, the clock is ticking. Tonight, a small section of track on the Northern Line is being repaired.
Get that trolley outside. He's sulky.
The rails have worn unevenly and if left could cause a derailment. But there's no money for relaying a new track, so the old rails are simply swapped round.
What they're doing now is they're changing one rail from the left-hand side to the right-hand side and the right-hand side rail up to the left-hand side, so the new running edges come to where they contact the wheel.
The cause of this uneven wear is the tunnel. The men who built it 75 years ago didn't quite get it straight. In the long term, the most cost-effective solution would be to straighten it, but that would cost around £70,000, and there are higher priorities with London Underground's limited funds.
Kevin! Kevin! Quickly look and see is there a gap down there?
Tonight's patch and mend job costs only about £3,000, but they'll have to go on spending that every 2 years indefinitely. How much money have you been given this year?
For capital expenditure, about £3 million.
How much should you be given?
We projected to bring the track up to grade at about £21 million a year.
A seventh of your budget?
Yeah. That's all major works, that is, yeah.
When Londoners rise, they rarely shine if they have to travel to work on what's become known as the Misery Line. This is the Northern Line. So used to delays have passengers become that when their train does arrive, they're grateful, even if they do have to put up with being packed in like sardines.
I think it's very
not good.
What's been your worst experience on the tube that you can remember?
Well, sometimes the trains stop midway and then you have to wait like 30 minutes in between stops.
That's happened before to you?
Yeah, and it's not very comfortable, especially when it's crowded and you're pushed against people. It's not a very nice feeling.
How often does that happen to you?
It seems to be happening quite often.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry for this delay. A signal problem at Camden Town. Trains are moving through Camden Town very slowly at the moment. Hopefully this won't take too long.
Just like now. Just like now, I mean, they're saying there's a delay to Camden Town. Things like that's always happen, especially on the Northern Line.
The first section of the Northern Line was opened in 1890. Some parts of its signalling are 60 years old. Its trains are a bit younger. They haven't quite turned 40 yet. The manager of the Northern Line is Wilburn Short. If he had £100 million for new signals, he could provide a faster, more reliable service. Instead, under the last government, his budget was cut by £45 million.
Hello, Will. Hello, Stuart. How you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Tuesday evening, and Mr. Short is showing us around Tottenham Court Road, one of his busiest stations. Like so many, it's far too small for the number of passengers.
We are on a powder keg right now. I'd like to see the whole place expanded, more space for people to move around with, to be able to get their trains and to go away. Certainly another bank of 3 escalators.
Do you ever actually
have to close
the station?
Of course we do.
Because of congestion?
We have to, very often.
Really?
When was the last time you closed the station?
Yes, last time we closed, what, day before yesterday? Optimum TCR.
It's not too late though.
Yeah. So nothing going south on the cross line via the embankment? Okay, this is between where and where? I see. Okay. Righto.
What's that?
What's the problem?
Yeah. The problem now is they've got arcing somewhere in the embankment region. We have no southbound train between Camden Town and Kennington. Now, all the people that are now on my southbound will have to be turned around and sent on to the eastbound platform to get their Northern Line service from the bank.
We have no service, no southbound service from this platform due to a problem at embankment. Those of you who want to go to Charing Cross, exit number 4. Number 24 was
This sort of problem normally would probably be around 20 minutes or so, but it varies.
So is it worth me sticking around, or should I go and get a taxi?
It depends how quickly you want to get home.
Where are you trying to get to?
I'm going to Waterloo, but it's either go all that way around or back down here.
Right.
So I think it's going around that way. It's a damn nuisance.
How often does it happen to you?
Most days.
You can get back your money upstairs, we refund you back your money. Pardon?
Kennington.
Number 2 platform central, change at the bank. Yeah?
Here's the manager of the Northern Line. What do you want to say to him?
I don't think it bears repeating. I don't think I'd want to put it on television.